Do not, I repeat, do not call the police.
Now on Denver 7 at 7 a.m. on Local 3, a video aimed at bridging gaps and creating change is causing a stir. Why Denver parents are speaking out about one school's approach to an important issue.
Meanwhile, Jeffco families could learn that they are changing schools soon. Tonight we'll learn which campuses are on the chopping block because of falling enrollment.
And you may be waking up with a financial weight lifted after the president announced a plan to forgive student loan debt. We have new reaction overnight.
What are you going to do with the extra $10,000?
My brother waited to this moment, paid off all his debt except for $10,000, just waiting for this. So
played it perfectly.
You know,
yeah.
Some people getting this relief,
Hopefully you're having a great start to your Thursday. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brian Sanders.
And I'm Nicole Brady. Lisa Hidalgo is getting us started with a nice look outside this morning. Lisa, we could get a little bit of rain too, though.
We could. Beautiful right now, though. You can see from our Westminster camera, we're going to be under a mostly sunny sky here to kick off the day. Plenty of sunshine early on. Take a look at the emoji cast. Near 70 here by about 9 o'clock. We'll be in the low to mid 80s by noon and then low to mid 80s again by 5 o'clock. Briefly hitting highs near 90. And then you'll notice highs up and down the Front Range. Nice. Castle Rock and Parker, low to mid 80s. We will see a better chance for a few thunderstorms and showers here this afternoon. Scattered storms west of Denver, first here by early afternoon, and then we're going to see a chance of that rolling east. So a chance of storms today and tomorrow. Looks pretty good, though, for the weekend. On Saturday, we'll see some nice weather for the Broncos game. We'll take a closer look at that on the Super 7 Day coming up.
Speaking of closer look, we'll take a closer look at this serious crash down on the south side of town. State Patrol telling me now 4 people were hurt seriously in this crash on northbound Parker Road here at Orchard. It remains closed down back here at Fair Place. Take a look from the camera there and you're zooming in. So this is the RTD bus. The RTD bus was going southbound on Parker Road here at Orchard. And it looks like somebody was crossing over and then obviously they had T-boned right here. And so there were people that were hurt in this car. Another person was hurt. So 4 people to the hospital. I have no information about how the bus driver was doing or how many other people on the bus there were here at this crash. So right now all traffic is being diverted, as you can see on the map, on the northbound side here at Fair Place going up to Orchard. Obviously Buckley can get you around it too, so we will have those delays for some time. The other big delay is southbound I-25 with a crash at 58th. That's joining the big traffic jam up to the north, so really from 120th to 58th, heavy stop and go traffic.
Well, today is the day parents in Jeffco will find out, will their school be on the list?
Yeah, the district will unveil recommendations for which elementary schools to close or consolidate because of low enrollment. And we know that's an emotional issue, especially if it's in your neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's bring in Denver 7's Veronica Acosta live in Golden, where the school board will meet tonight. And Veronica, the district says these smaller schools just aren't able to provide a quality educational experience anymore.
And this is a spot where parents might get the news that while they've been expecting, as you two mentioned, no mom or dad really wants to hear. And here is the reality of this whole thing, you guys. Jeffco schools, they have building space for 96,000 students, but right now they only have about 69,000. And really this is because of declining enrollment. It has been happening for years within Jeffco, specifically since 2001. We're talking about more than 20 years, and that's because of things like declining birth rates, the pandemic, and then there's families who've just picked up and moved because of costs. Now, this is a tough decision for officials and one they say they just kind of have to make right now. So just to give you a little better context, we know that at least 49 elementary schools within the Jeffco Public County School District, they have a student population under 250, or they're utilizing less than 60% of their building. But choosing which schools to recommend for closure, that was very much more than just those numbers. The district's chief of strategy told us it's kind of like figuring out this really difficult puzzle.
There's just a lot of factors and things to figure out about proximity of schools and places where we can, provide the best possible experiences for our students. So we looked at a lot of things. Ultimately, our goal is sustainable elementary schools. And our hope is, and sometimes when we're able to combine 2 school communities, we are able to really strengthen and sustain one school for that community, hopefully for the long term.
And this is really important to add. It might give some parents who are watching this morning maybe just a little bit of solace. If it ends up that your student's elementary school is closed, just know that with the exception of 2 schools, Conifer and Evergreen, every elementary school is roughly 1.3 miles away from each other. So it's not like your student is going to have to travel across the county or across the district to get to their new school. Also know that that list that's coming out during today's meeting, that's just kind of like the first draft. The final list is going to come out sometime in November, and depending on what schools close, those won't close until next year, so no time this year. We're in Golden this morning. I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
Still a tough decision to hear today. And I talked with the superintendent about this just before the school year started. She said at these smaller schools, they just can't provide the same experiences they can at a more full school.
And so if we're able to combine some schools and have a more robust enrollment, then we solve issues like having split grade levels where 2nd and 3rd graders are in a classroom together, where we have part-time enrichment and electives opportunities for students like art, music, PE.
Now, unfortunately, district leaders also told me that they are going to have to look at closing middle and high schools as well in the future. For now, it's just those elementaries.
We also talked to the Jeffco Teachers Union, who hopes that the district has a plan for teachers and other staff members at the schools they close.
Certainly, if they're serving the students in their buildings now and those students are going to go elsewhere, then those students still need the same teachers and they still need the same paras and they still need the same bus drivers that are getting them to their school now. So our hope is that there is some sort of process in place, and they'll work with us in doing that.
So in a statement, the Jeffco Teachers Union proposed using the closed campuses in ways that help the community, like turning them into community centers or even affordable housing.
Meanwhile, Denver public school teachers have less than a week now till their contract expires. The teachers union wants a raise in line with the rate of inflation, but it comes at a time when budgets are tight.
Where would they move money around to make sure that they can pay teachers at the rate of inflation and pay teachers what they deserve?
Well, the good news is that, yes, while budgets have been constrained over the last few years, this year, DPS has received more money from state funding than we've ever received in the past 5 years plus. So that amount of increase alone can help. But we've also gotten $200 million of ESSER funds from the government that can help us through with different aspects. So that offsets aspects of the budget.
After tonight's negotiations, the two sides will talk one more time next Wednesday, which is the day the contract expires. Turning to higher education, millions of Americans are waking up thousands of dollars or owing thousands of dollars less in debt.
Yeah.
President Biden is counseling anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 in student loans for most borrowers.
As the plan rolls out, though, some are calling it unfair. ABC's Em Nguyen has new reaction.
This morning, financial relief for millions of Americans. President Joe Biden announcing he'll wipe out $10,000 in federal student debt for most borrowers, fulfilling a key campaign promise.
The weight was lifted off my shoulders, mostly for my parents because it stresses them out.
Loan forgiveness for anyone making less than $125,000 a year or couples making less than $250,000.
I feel like it gives a relief for people that actually need it.
Biden also canceling up to $20,000 for recipients of Pell Grants, a move the NAACP is praising.
There's still more to be done, but this is a great step in the right direction.
But not everyone is on board.
Why forgive loans that someone is knowingly, they're signing something saying that I'm taking on this debt, I'm responsible for this debt, and then complain after they pick a job that doesn't pay their debt.
Republicans echoing that sentiment. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell calling it a slap in the face to every family who sacrificed to save for college, every graduate who paid their debt. Other critics say the plan will fuel inflation. The White House, though, quick to compare the plan to the financial assistance loans businesses got during the pandemic, many of which were later granted loan forgiveness. 43 million Americans have federal student debt with an average balance of almost $38,000. A third of them owe less than $10 grand.
People can finally crawl out from under that mountain of debt.
I was telling my coworkers, like, hey, look at this. I'm like free of debt. I'm free of debt. Biden is also extending a pandemic-era pause on federal student loan payments until the end of the year for what he called the final time. As for student loan forgiveness, those interested should keep an eye out on the federal student aid website. M. Nguyen, ABC News, Washington.
Meanwhile, Colorado leaders have mixed reviews on canceling student loan debt. Republican State Senator Paul Lundeen worries about what it will mean for the economy and even future generations, and about how it will affect the value of the American dollar, since the federal government won't be getting hundreds of billions of dollars from borrowers now.
And this, I think, tragically, as kind-hearted as it seems, is going to feed into that inflationary spiral. It makes all of our dollars, the dollars in your paycheck, are going to be worth less next month than they were this month. And they will be worth even less 2 months from now.
Although Democratic Congressman Ed Perlmutter doesn't buy that argument. If anything, he thinks it could strengthen the economy.
I was a bankruptcy lawyer for a long time before I got elected to Congress. And there is some loss to the nation, but I think it's made up for and then some by the investment that people will make.
So he would like to see Congress take even more action so future generations aren't saddled with this type of debt. Well, we are following a developing disaster in Mississippi. Take a look at these images. Heavy thunderstorms, flash flooding, and power outages have closed schools. Flooding in other parts of the state led to falling trees, even water rescues, including at a senior living center.
Yeah, the extreme influx of moisture has been moving across the South over the last several days. We showed it to you in Texas and Louisiana. Here in Mississippi, you see the flooding in Canton. Take a look at this, a soccer field. You can see the net there, only about half of it. It's submerged. It looks more like a lake there.
All started Sunday. A storm delivered a summer's worth of rainfall in Dallas, Texas, and that led to flash flooding there. The heavy rains then moved east into Louisiana and Mississippi, and unfortunately there is no relief in the forecast just yet. The rain is expected to continue off and on through today.
Well, you may be able to hear the cries for candy and costumes. One of the most popular companies for Halloween is gearing up for the season.
And it's one small step for man and a giant leap for Colorado, how our beloved state will now play a larger role in future space exploration.